Together right at the last second. Hey, welcome to BSP TV. In fact, Raw and Raw today. I'm Kevin Gummy. We've got Dr. Peta Lilley.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi.
And you're well?
I'm wonderful. Thanks, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Now, business is busy?
Very busy. Very, very good to be living our mission and helping people out there in the community.
Fantastic. Sometimes I really hope that you say, no, nobody's coming. We're really slack. However, obviously running a psychology practice is very, very busy and very important role. And one of the roles that's been identified by governments that as we continue to change and as the world's continue to change and at a continually more rapid rate than ever, that mental health is one of those challenges that's going to become more prevalent.
Absolutely.
So with that, we thought we'd talk about mindfulness today. I'm pretty sure you gave us a suggestion. It's not we, you, thought we'd talk about mindfulness today. And I think it's a great thing to talk about. So what are some of the benefits of thinking about mindfulness?
Look, mindfulness is not new, and certainly people are talking more about mindfulness in the community. And I think people are feeling more encouraged about pursuing and understanding mindfulness because there is a growing body of scientific research and evidence behind the benefits and effectiveness of practicing mindfulness. And we know it's just so helpful, not just to help with mental health and well-being, but it actually has a huge impact on improving some of our physical health, like our blood pressure and circulation, but also things to do with our cognitive performance, how well we focus and concentrate and how productive we are. So as we experience stress, it's not unusual to start to react rather than respond. And people are feeling and reporting to me all the time that they feel just so overwhelmed. And I thought, in thinking about today, such an important thing is to perhaps look at something that's really practical that you can do to reduce your stress. So mindfulness, now you might be wondering, and you might like to ask me the question, Kevin, what is mindfulness?
That's what I was about to say, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
There we go. And a lot of people will say, well, Peter, tell me about mindfulness. What is it? And again, it's actually a surprisingly simple concept, but not so easy to put into practice. I think one of the encouraging things, though, is that we all actually have a human capacity for mindfulness, which actually just means, in simple terms, that we are in the present moment, that we are paying attention to our thoughts, our feelings, the information we're getting through our senses, and that we are observing it in a way that we have some openness. We talk about curiosity, but what's really important is to take a non-judgmental stance of what we notice. And it helps us not just to react and be overwhelmed, but it also helps us to actually not be on automatic pilot, which is what can also happen when we're very, very busy and we're just then not aware of what's going on around us or what we're actually feeling within our own body and what we're getting through our mind.
But just going back one little step, so we're talking about meditation and just being still and being present, yeah?
Yeah, look, mindfulness and meditation are different, and people do often lump them together. So for the purpose of today, let's just keep it in on mindfulness, which is something that can be done in very short, sharp little bursts. You don't need to put aside really large blocks of time, which is often the way people think about practicing meditation. Mindfulness you can actually do as you go about your day, performing your normal tasks and roles, as well as more formal mindfulness practice and training, which you can make over longer periods of time in those sessions. But I find a lot of people are kind of turned off the idea of mindfulness because they think, I'm going to need some kind of equipment, or I'm going to need some music playing, or I'm going to need lots of time. And the beauty is that the evidence is suggesting that a couple of mindful moments can be sufficient to start to cultivate mindfulness and then actually have it become part of your daily practice and your daily way of functioning.
So cool. What are a couple of strategies that we can do to practice mindfulness?
Practice and cultivate. Look, Before I answer that, I would just like to recommend that anyone that's new to understanding mindfulness, there is a brand new series that's been produced in collaboration between Netflix and Headspace. It's called Meditation and Mindfulness. It's fabulous, short little sessions, really great intro and really practical things to start to think about. Plus, it also talks a little bit about the science, which people like to see that evidence base. So that's great. I'll put that up later after today, and a few other links to some short little tracks. But one thing I'd encourage your viewers to start with is actually just taking a moment to connect with their breath. When we come back to the body and we focus on the breath, it brings us back to the present moment. That is one thing you can do to start to practice mindfulness. As I said, you can carve out time to sit and work in that space, or you might just pay attention to the particular task you're doing. And some of the tasks we often suggest that you might try is perhaps when you're washing the dishes, or you're cleaning your teeth, or you're sitting at the traffic lights in the car. It's a really nice time to be in the moment and aware of that time, your body, your breath in that space, and just letting thoughts and feelings pass without judgment and not getting too hooked in. And that allows us to start to reduce stress.
You definitely didn't want to see how I got back from seeing a client earlier today to be here on time for this show. No mindfulness there whatsoever. So what we're talking about is having a focus on being in the moment. We're not rushing ahead. We're not worrying about behind. We're just focused on what is now.
That is correct. Got it. And with practice, it's something that you can actually apply then when you are under stress and you are noticing those symptoms of stress increasing. Perhaps you've noticed that you're a bit more irritable, or you're not sleeping well, or you can't concentrate. Then you can actually take some time, just a few mindful moments, can bring yourself back to the moment with a bit more clarity, reduce the stress, and then you can perform your tasks and roles as you need to and as you'd like to.
Some people have said I've been a bit more irritable since about the age of 6, so we won't focus on that part yet. Let's just do one bit.
Another day, Kevin. Another topic.
We need a whole army of doctors for that one. However, so let's go back with the basics. It's focusing. It's being still and being present, being focused. Come back to focus, even on your breathing, and just if it is for 30 seconds, it's for 30 seconds.
Correct. Absolutely. A couple of the tracks I'll put up today are really short, a couple of minutes each, and you can actually noticeably experience a reduction in stress, feel calmer, and also perhaps feel kinder towards yourself instead of being so judgmental and negative about what you might be experiencing, thinking, feeling.
Yeah, we talk about empathy for others, but sometimes our empathy for ourselves is really lacking. And I'm guilty of that too. Like, I do set high standards for myself, and when I don't achieve them, I can get to beating myself up. So I guess the important thing from today is one that, hey, there's a whole Netflix series. So you can binge the whole series in 2 hours, a little bit over. However, probably not the way to do it. It's going to be lessons that will build on each other, and practicing in between is probably going to be an awesome idea. You said that's a collaboration between Headspace and Netflix. Yes. I've known of Headspace for a couple of years. I mean, they are awesome. The English guy that does the guided meditations and stuff in that, it's kind of fun to listen to his voice because it is so a little bit different. He sounds a bit like Ringo Starr to me. But taking time out and consciously taking time out just to slow down.
Absolutely. Be in the moment, be aware, reduce your stress. Absolutely. Because you're going to experience stress, but we don't want it to keep snowballing, and then, it can lead to greater difficulties down the track.
Oh, absolutely. And I imagine that even our family and our friends would be appreciating us doing that, so that we can be a little bit more present with them.
Most definitely.
So there you go. So being a little bit more mindful, you don't have to sit there on a hard wooden floor with your legs crossed and contorting yourself into strange angles and things like that, listening to chiming bells or anything. It's something that you can do in short, sharp things. Dr. Peter's going to put some stuff on these feeds so that You've got links to them. I'm also going to encourage you to put stuff on our on the business portal listing that you've got, so that people can find them all the time.
Absolutely. Happy to do that. It's part of my mission at the moment, Kevin, is to get out these resources and this information so that people can work on their mental health and well-being. So very happy to share.
Absolutely. Look, I really appreciate you taking the time to help us out today. I'm very, very grateful for that. So thank you very much for sharing your thoughts today.
Pleasure. Take care. And I look forward to hearing how your mindful moments are going, Kevin.
I look forward to sharing that with you. Absolutely. And yeah, you can tell I'm going red because maybe I need a bit more of this. I'll catch you all later. Thanks, Dr. Peter.
Bye.